That's not it.
What the hell is that?
Oh no.
Jazz.
It's the wrong bank.
I would like to introduce.
Okay, let's go.
New Sports, new online radio station. WNB1 Radio broadcasting live 24/7. All music genres. WNB1 Radio. Your urban music link.
Hey, what's going on? Straight to the point. You are listening to WNB1 Radio. What's going on, fellas?
What up, Charlie? Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here. I got in trouble being there, Guys are getting me in trouble every week.
No, don't say you got. I blame it all on Steve.
Yeah. I'm
Sorry.
getting in trouble
I can
every
get out of
week,
jail free
man.
card for him.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So nice to be here. We, anytime I'm here doing a podcast, I love it. I wish I was podcasting every day, but
Imagine how much trouble you'd be in then.
I'd
Hey,
be real.
Not to change it up, but I see you had a pretty interesting podcast. Was it yesterday or Tuesday?
That was let's see, Tuesday. I had a couple of weightlifters.
Yeah. That was very interesting.
The- Ken DeBarros and Julio Concepcion, and
I was like into it.
yeah, they're relatives going to compete in the New England Championship November 2nd in Boston. So I'm excited about it because Julio had a struggle with weight and lost it. Looks marvelous, looks like an all pro already. Kenneth, 55 years old, and looks better shape than most 18-year-olds around here. So he's doing well. So thanks for that shout out, man.
Definitely.
And welcome everyone on Facebook, on WNB1.com. I appreciate you coming to listen to us all, talk about sports, right? Straight to the point. Speaking straight to the point. Man, them Vikings are 4-0.
I'm not trying to jinx myself, but I'm happy with I feel like we're overachieving. The only thing that was a drawback was the second half of that game last week, man. We were up big, and
Actually, I don't think you're overachieving. I think the quarterback's overachieving, because no one expected that from him. But everybody else is getting their solid numbers, right?
Yeah. Well, last year we didn't have a number one running back.
Yeah, they got a good running back.
Yeah.
too.
So you got Aaron Jones, who's
Aaron
a seasoned
Jones, yeah.
veteran, and he can help us in the passing game and the running game. And the line's healthy for the first. Darisaw was in and out of the lineup last year. When he's there, it's a big difference. Him and O'Neal being healthy.
That's your two bookends, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's do this game of the week right here.
And it's not even the NFL game of the week.
No,
But I enjoyed it probably better than any NFL game I saw this week.
Yeah,
that's it.
it's
Georgia versus
tough,
Alabama,
man. That was a good game.
as you all say, instant classic. And
It
I
definitely
mean,
was.
No, it was a tale of two halves.
Yeah,
What did we all
definitely.
think in the first half? What was your opinion, Derek?
game over, right?
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah, this is a blowout.
A blowout.
Georgia's overrated.
Carson Beck's not a Heisman candidate because he had like 2 turnovers in the first half.
2 big turnovers.
The coaching staff's overrated at Georgia because that they don't have to play a lot of the meat and potatoes during the regular season, and this year they do. And I was like,
year,
wow.
They probably have the toughest schedule in Division One.
Oh, they do this year. The way that SEC stacks up in the new entries with Oklahoma and Texas, they got to play them guys. But what was the most impressive part about it? The way Alabama started or the way Georgia came back?
To me, I like the way. I like them both.
Yeah, it's kind of a wash, right?
Well,
You think about it.
but
But it wasn't expected.
But
When that
nobody
lead got
expected
out there,
Alabama. Nobody expected Alabama to jump out like that. I thought it was going to be a back and forth battle the whole game.
Yeah.
So was there any reason we feel Alabama got out to that big a lead? I know Carson Beck had a couple of turnovers
It's
in the first half.
I just think it's they were just ready, more ready. You know, Alabama was
Playing
just
Alabama.
more ready than Georgia was. Georgia maybe, and I think it's because of Georgia's streak. They had a little streak going.
28 games in a
Yeah,
row. They
so,
lost to an SEC
You know, they
team.
probably relaxed a little bit, and then
Well, they lost to Alabama last year.
Not in the regular season. They lost.
That wasn't
They had a conference winning streak, 28 games.
so
But,
yep.
but I was impressed with a few people. With all the turnover, with Saban leaving, I was impressed with the coaching of Alabama and how he was able to get the best out of everybody, not miss a beat. He really didn't have time to recruit his own guys, so he kind of inherited a program. But that's one part of it. You have to coach those guys up and get them ready. And one of the best jobs I thought he did was with Milroe, the quarterback.
Yeah, but not for nothing. I would love to inherit that program.
Of course, they got 5 stars all up and down.
Yeah.
But when you lose a legend,
Yeah,
it's hard to go in there. And he says over and over again during all the interviews, I'm not trying to come in here and do Nick Saban. I got everything but respect for Nick Saban, but I got my own style of doing things, and I'm not trying to copy everything that works. So he inherited a healthy cupboard, but he still has to put those pieces together and make the ingredients jive in order for them to, because there was big questions. There might be a downfall because of getting used, adjusting to his way of coaching. He doesn't really have talent. He doesn't have scouts out on the SEC like he knows his old conference when he was at Washington. But their offense and defense looked so dominant in the first half. And you know what another surprise about that was? I wish I would have wrote down his name. But they have a first-team All-American offensive lineman that missed the first 3 games of the year, and he came back. So that adds to their pass protection. That adds to their running.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'll give the coach all his credit, but as far as players on the field, I'll say the offensive lineman was the third most important guy in that game. But I don't know who had a bigger effect, Milroe, freshman Ryan Williams.
I'm gonna say Milroe just for the fact.
Yeah.
He was 27 for 33 for 374.
Yep. Against a top-ranked defense.
2 touchdowns, one INT, but 16 carries, 117 yards.
And
True.
I always knew he was a good athlete last year.
Yeah.
But he struggled at the beginning of the year last year. He got replaced. He got sat down.
But
But
now he's more mature.
I think he grew last year through those mistakes. And this year he went in with some confidence. And the stats that you reeled off, he had 500 total yards by himself. 379,
374 and
374
and 117
Against Georgia.
against Georgia. Now, part of that is going to be they got that big offensive lineman back who's supposed to be a top 5 pick, but they also, I think they had balance because just those stats alone show us they were able to pass the ball and they were able to run the ball.
True.
And there was a very good recipient that we saw right off the rip.
The 17-year-old?
Yep.
And they're
Ryan
crazy.
Williams. Imagine being 17 and having the calmness and confidence to go out on that big stage, that composure, and dominate against Georgia. Like, I was just in high school 9 months ago.
Yeah, the
How
crazy.
tall is he?
I don't know his height, but he's not a
He's not
an overly
big
physically
physical-
gifted guy,
Oh,
but he's a
yeah.
great
Yeah,
route runner, great hands,
and he's fast.
Yeah, he's
They were
fast.
saying, I was watching a podcast the other day, I was talking about him. They were saying, excuse me, you know how guys in college leave early, like leave their junior year to go to the NFL. This kid left his junior year in high school because he recertified.
Yeah.
Junior year in high school to college.
Wow.
So he skipped his senior year.
Yeah, he reclassified. Yep.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's the reason why.
But the
why
reason
he's 17.
he must have been at a prep school because that's the only way. Because you reclassify when you go to a prep school
all
down.
these guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he turns 18 before the end of this year, before December. So that's what the year most 18-year-olds were gonna. As long as he turns before December 31st, he's in age-wise his right class. But when you're going to prep schools and all that, yeah, you get an extra year, and he that's the same thing Cooper Kupp did in basketball this year.
Mhm.
He had another year left at the Mount Verde Academy.
Did he?
Yeah, and he decided since he was the #1 rated player, he don't need to stay there. But that was his normal class. When he transferred from Maine down to Florida,
Yeah.
that was a prep school. So he repeated his sophomore year and then played his sophomore and junior year down there. And he had another year left. And because he was already rated #1, he figured, let me reclassify, go to Duke, because in the next year I'm expected to be the #1 draft pick. So when you go to a prep school, you have that. The rules are different now. Like you have that flexibility of, because you classify down, as long as you have enough credits
Mhm.
and as long as you're going to be 18 within that calendar year, then you can bypass.
To answer your question, Ryan Williams is 6 feet, 175 pounds, Charlie.
Which is the speed burner.
Yeah.
He's not overly muscular and he's not super tall,
No.
but he's just a talented kid. But
So
all
at that height,
talent-
you think he?
his composure, man, and being a go-to guy as a freshman.
Well, it's being 17. He probably got one more year of growing. So maybe
Yeah, he's still not.
6'2",
He's
so
still
he
not
could
done.
still, yeah.
Yeah, but what he did at what he is currently, he's 6 feet 175 now, and he
Yeah.
went out and dominated in his first year of college against the #1 team in the country. And I'm just amazed that a 17-year-old kid has that type of talent and composure to pull that off. You know, like it's a big adjustment from high school to major college football, and then the fact that you're only 17. So this is all talent that he's getting done with.
I love it.
But did you see what his stats were? I mean, he's part of those
Yeah.
great stats.
Was it 6 for 177? If I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
With 2 touchdowns. And did you see the first touchdown
No,
was incredible?
only had
That's the one
only had one.
he didn't score in the first half.
Nah, just one touchdown.
That one. All right. So he flipped the ball in between 2 defenders and spun around.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check that because I know
Stole the show.
Jam-
Ryan Williams.
Jam Miller-
scored on a
Jam Miller scored
75.
the other.
Yeah.
well, then he must have got knocked down at the 1 or something. But that first half, he was in between 2 defenders and he flipped it. And them guys kind of went for the ball and he flipped it again. And then he spun around and then he caught it on the other side. So I thought he scored on that. But that was like a 70-something yard,
75 yards.
75-yard catch. Then he had a couple of other small catches. But then that game was another huge. And he had to make moves. He had to do that spin move. Looked
Yeah.
like somebody playing Madden or something like
Mhm.
that. Somebody hit the joystick and
That's it.
he was like,
Maybe he didn't score on that one, but he scored on the other one.
well, I don't know. But
No, he didn't score on that. That
long one.
the 75 he scored, and then the one that you're talking about,
All right.
he looked like a joystick
Yeah.
PS5 player. He was stopped short. I think it
6
was.
catches, 177 yards. And entering week 6, he was averaging 15.3 yards per catch, which ranked him 4th nationally out of everybody in college football. So we get to we get to Alabama dominating the first half with the play of Milroe. They also had a good running game because I can't remember their running back, but he was putting up some numbers, and then Milroe was running and Williams was catching.
Justice Haynes.
Yeah, he had some good stats.
6 for 35.
Well, maybe that wasn't him then.
No, that's the next. Jeremy Bernard, 2 for 18.
Hmm.
Milroe was killing it with the Russian.
Yeah. Well, so in the first half, they're operating on all cylinders. The offensive line is dominating the line of scrimmage, out physical in Georgia, which I've never seen in the last 5 to 7 years of Georgia. They always have a physical, athletic, defensive and offensive front, and Alabama manhandled
They
it.
sure did.
And once again, I'm going to give credit to that offensive lineman. They missed him the first couple of games, but then the passing game was on point. The running game with Milroe was on point. The receiving game was on point. The coaching was on point. But then, as bad as things were, Carson Beck, who was supposed to be a Heisman candidate, had, 2 interceptions in the first half? And you would think his confidence would be shook. But what did we see in the second half?
No. Hey, he ended up with his numbers. Excuse me. What the hell? 27 for 50, 439, 3 TDs, and 3 INTs.
Just in the second half alone, man. Remember, they were down 30-7,
Yeah.
right? and he had just 100 yards in the first half. So he had 339 yards with 3 touchdowns in the second half alone against Alabama. So just as impressed as we were with what Alabama did to Georgia's defense, I give so much credit to Georgia's entire program, coaching staff, players, to not quit on the road. That shows me the sign of a champion. Like, they didn't bury their head. They were like,
when they were getting smacked.
yeah, 31-7. They still felt like they were in the game, and they played with confidence, and they righted the ship. Their defense all of a sudden stopped Alabama.
Yeah.
They stopped turning the ball over, and they started being able to go up and down the field against Alabama.
Their receivers balled out.
Well, yeah, they're similar to Alabama talent-wise. They got 5 stars on the bench and stuff.
Arian Smith, 6 for 132 with a touchdown. And then Dylan Bell, 5 for 100 and a touchdown.
So here's the thing. We saw Alabama jump out to a huge lead. Then we saw Georgia come all the way back. And I want to say finally went ahead with 1:34 left to go in the game.
And then one play.
And then the first play from scrimmage, Alabama hits the 17-year-old freshman for 75 yards. One play. When they lost the lead, I was like, oh, my God. They took the momentum, and they're going to come back and win this game.
Yeah, that balloon went like this, and then all of a sudden,
because Alabama scored nothing in the whole second half. They got 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter. Because they were up 31. They got a field goal.
Yeah.
And then they had to score a touchdown on the last possession of the game, that first play. So Alabama, kudos to getting out to that lead, but then kudos to Georgia for coming back. But then Alabama dug in deep with that 1:34 to go after they looked like crap the whole second half and still pulled out a victory. To me, I can't remember being as excited or on the edge of my seat for any other game, bowl games included, than that. To me, that's an instant classic right away.
Definitely was a good game.
But
Carson Beck ended up with 4 turnovers.
right.
That's what that kind of hurt them big time.
But did he have 2
had a
or more
fumble.
than 2 in the first half?
I don't recall when.
Let me see. I think I have.
But I know he had three picks and he lost a fumble.
Yeah. Now, after ending the first half to Alabama, with Georgia down 37 and a stat line that consisted of 47% completion rate and just 100 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But I thought he fumbled the ball too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so that was the third. He had 2 interceptions, but he also fumbled the ball.
No, he had a total of 3 interceptions.
And no, in the first half.
Oh.
In the first half.
Yeah.
He had 3 turnovers in the first half.
Yeah.
But one time they were driving down the field ready to score, I think, and he threw an interception against Bama. But if you had to put your finger on one thing that you take away from this game, Derek, what's the one impression that you were left with from this game?
The play of
Milroe or Williams?
Milroe, like you said last year, he got benched a few times. This year he's coming in, the kid's balling.
And if they continue to show out and win, I think he's jumped to the head of the Heisman race, because Quinn Ewers was supposed to be the guy coming in, but he's missed a few games. He's coming back this week.
But my thing is with Quinn Ewers, like the kid's a ball player. Don't get me wrong. He can play the game, but he goes out. Tennessee still don't miss a beat. I mean, Texas still don't miss a beat.
No, because they have a viable backup. But he was there when they got their big win week 1. They played Michigan in the Big House in front of 114,000 people. Yeah. He went on the road. He showed us, he's a quality quarterback.
Yeah, no, he's definitely good, got great talent.
Got hurt, and luckily they still have another quality quarterback, and somebody from the Manning line. Arch Manning goes in there.
I like
all
that
he had
kid.
to do was hold it down.
I like that
and
kid.
And they didn't play any big name teams. I mean, they played some directional schools, Southwest Missouri and Northeast Oklahoma. He did what they were supposed to do. He blew them out. He didn't leave any. I think, did they play Arkansas last week? They played somebody. No, he started 2 weeks in a row, and they played teams that they blew out 2 weeks in a row. But right now, Jalen Milroe has to put himself at the top of the Heisman list because of the quality of win they had.
But you don't sleep on my boy Travis.
Which Travis?
Travis from
Yes, but is
Colorado.
Travis undefeated? Has Travis beat anybody? He's doing great individually, but typically it goes to somebody with the winning record first. So at this point,
Well, you got to win the record. You just got to win loss.
with the most winning record, Alabama's undefeated and they beat Georgia.
Yeah.
The two wins that Colorado have, Colorado State was not a top 25 team.
Yeah.
They beat South Florida last week, who
It
I
was
think
supposed
was
to-
18 or something
They were
like
supposed
that.
to blow them out.
They were supposed to be a 12.5-point favorite,
This
South Florida, and they have the number one running game, but your running game's ineffective when you fall behind.
This guy-
Colorado
this-
jumped in front of them.
this guy's doing it on both ends of the stick.
Get
Yeah,
it?
yeah. His they were saying his playing time was
Yeah.
was surpassing like team stats. So
He's on-
like
he's on the field.
it was
Field.
just crazy.
Game.
He's on the field for every play.
Yeah.
Just about.
But if I had to be a stickler right now, because Milroe's undefeated and he's playing a tougher schedule,
Yeah.
I have to give him a slight. I'm not going to take nothing away from Travis Hunter because Travis Hunter is unbelievable. Just the fact that he's dominating on both sides of the field.
Yeah, I think Colorado
He's like the
needs
Shohei
to
Ohtani of college football.
Yeah, pretty much.
Colorado needs to make the playoffs. And if they don't, then I think Travis he'll be nominated on a candidate, but that's about it. You know.
Texas played Mississippi State. Their last game.
Just press the button.
Oh, sorry.
You heard?
What's that?
Yeah.
Texas played Mississippi State their last game.
Oh, all right. Let's check it out.
I just don't know. Is your page on, Derek?
I don't know.
I just got two people that said my page isn't linked.
My page hasn't been linked for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Steve.
Okay. Nope.
Yeah, I should be good now, Steve. Derek says it says to reconnect. Oh, that's the merge. Sorry.
So, was there anything else in the way of college football? I mean, Derek brought up Travis Hunter. That was a big win, like you said, on the road. Was supposed to be a 12.5-point underdog in that game. I don't think there was any other high-profile games, and they might have done that on purpose because everybody was waiting for that 7:30.
Oh yeah, you couldn't.
That 7:30 Georgia Alabama game. That was the talk of the town. But I don't remember another game that I was willing to watch besides the Colorado game.
Like it should have been a good game, but Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan State should have been a good game, but
Oh, Brian's on, so he's on Brian's page.
they're awful.
All right. I don't know. I just want to mention before we get off the NCAA is Alabama was 9-1 versus Georgia, which I didn't think it was that big. But the record against Georgia is 9-1.
That's misleading to me only because I thought with Georgia winning the last couple of years or being in the national, unless Alabama lost before facing Georgia, maybe
Yeah,
that's
they
why.
didn't. They didn't.
They
Play,
didn't play as
them
often
They
recently.
didn't play them every year.
All right.
Because last year I think Alabama lost to Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Alabama didn't play Georgia in the regular season last year.
no, I meant when they got to the playoff format. I think Alabama got knocked out
No,
in the last couple of years
oh,
before.
did they? Well, Georgia didn't make it.
Yeah, Georgia didn't make it, but the years before, like the last couple of years when Trevor Lawrence was down there and all
Mhm.
that stuff, Georgia had won like 2 ships.
Trevor Lawrence. He was.
I mean, no, he was like, who's that? Who's the other quarterback? He didn't turn out that great in the pros, but he's out there now. Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, and they had a wheelhouse of a team then, mostly on defense. All those defensive studs that went to Philly and all that, you know.
Yeah, it went to Philly.
Yeah. But I haven't been that excited about college football as I was last week. Just those two things we mentioned. That game to me was an instant classic. You can't tell me another game. The closest thing I can think of was when Texas played USC in the national championship. Vince, when he ran 46 yards.
He's missed, man. I thought he was going to be something special.
I think if he would have got with the teams with the right program, they might have utilized his skills, because it's the same thing we're seeing with Baker Mayfield right now. Same thing we might be seeing in Minnesota with Sam Darnold. Some systems just ain't meant for the people.
certain player. Yeah.
You draft a player and then you bring in a new coach who wants to change the system. It's just not conducive. But when they go elsewhere, they're the same player, but now all of a sudden they got success. Why? Because you're playing to that player's strengths. You know, you're in a system that he can thrive in, got confidence in. Put some
Yeah, there was a reason why it was picked so high. You know, Darnold.
Yeah, it was number 3 overall.
I mean, he definitely was showcasing at USC and doing the right thing, and now he's got somebody to throw to.
And
Several
he's got a
people.
quarterback coach that he probably never had that quality of a quarterback.
And he's never had a quality receiver that he has either.
Yeah,
He makes
things together.
Yeah, he makes a big difference. But Sam Darnold was coming out. He wasn't a bum. He was regarded as a really good quarterback. But the teams that he played for really didn't have a lot of talent around him at the time.
No.
Now he has the talent.
Yeah, and he had a situation where he didn't have a good line for New York, and then he's kind of throwing off the scramble, interceptions, fumbles, you know.
And
so
the more success he gets, I'm sorry, I mean, the
right.
more success he gets, the more the confidence builder is gonna make him that much more better.
Yeah, they're gonna have to think when McCarthy comes back. They're gonna really have to think what they're gonna do.
No, what you do is you put McCarthy in the bag and watch Sam Darnold. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't have to rush him now.
Honestly, I hope when he comes back, I hope they take Sam Darnold out.
Yeah.
I'd rather see McCarthy than Darnold. And in the beginning, I was like,
he's earned his shot now.
I was laughing at Steve early in the beginning of the season when he said, "Oh, you got Sam Darnold." So, but yeah, hey,
I'm right there with you.
He's throwing in my
Guess
face.
what? We were sitting in the corner of the bar over there laughing at him,
Yeah.
you know. And
He's
you know
playing,
what?
and he's balling.
And I can't say I was 100% confident, but I thought he was a little better than people were giving him
Yeah,
credit.
and
Only because O'Connell's been a quarterback coach, and they went after him for a reason. Him and general manager went after him for a reason, and they had that was the backup plan as soon as they knew Cousins wasn't coming back.
True.
And they were only going to keep Cousins if it was a team friendly deal. And Cousins says, he says all the right things, but Cousins is a money whore.
Yeah, he sure
Cousins
is.
is going to go wherever pays him the most. He would have went to the damn freaking
He's been getting paid
worst team in the league. He's the highest paid person for guaranteed money.
In the last how many
Like 10 years.
He's
He was in Minnesota for 6. He was in Washington. They kept franchising him for like 3 years.
and
whatever.
at the time the franchise, he was the highest paid quarterback in the league.
He wasn't
at the time.
getting guaranteed. Luckily, he stayed healthy, because if he would have got hurt, he stayed healthy, and then you got franchise again.
Since
sort of like the Bobby Bonilla.
no, you can't.
Bobby
No
Lee
way.
extended
No way.
his
No
pay
way.
for years, 25, 30 years.
Since '93.
Yeah.
Since '93, bro. But anyways,
Now that we're on to the NFL,
not for nothing. Before we switch it up, that defensive coordinator over there in Minnesota has a lot to do with their success as well.
Ryan Flores.
That kid is.
well, that's part of the NFL news, right?
Yeah, but
So
I had to throw it out since we were talking about.
I definitely. Brian was always one of those guys that I liked, and you know, and I'm glad. I'm so happy that Minnesota gave him an opportunity.
Well, Pittsburgh gave him an opportunity.
Yeah,
first,
that's true.
But then
That's
Minnesota upped the ante to bring him over.
And
He was only a defensive coordinator over there with Pittsburgh.
yeah, so it's good thing. Good thing.
You know, it's an example of people want a character assassination a lot of times with the minority coaches.
Yeah.
Look for a way to degrade them and act like they're not as good as their counterparts. He was always a great coach.
Yeah.
He never showed us being a bad coach. People thought he was a bad person because Tua has a good reputation. Him and Tua didn't get along.
But he not for nothing. If you ask me, he was right about Tua.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. But
and I was going to get this. I was going to say that I was saying the same thing about him, and that's why I wasn't picking him. That's why I wasn't picking Miami, because he was that QB that was.
But like Derek said, he was right, and that's the point I wanted to emphasize was he never stopped being a great coach. He was let go because of a personal difference with the general manager, Mike Greer, who him and Coach McDaniel and the owner decided we want to go with Tua. And he's like, I'm the coach. He's the only one there that evaluates talent. And he's a defensive coach, but he knew enough to say, I wanted Justin Herbert as my quarterback. Justin Herbert had a better rookie year, but now he can't stay healthy. I don't know if it would have been any different if he would have went there. But now you got Tua. It looks like no matter who they picked, they would have been cursed somehow.
Yeah.
They might have been better the first year
Yeah.
because Herbert had a great rookie year, but he has trouble staying healthy. And Tua now with the concussions, we don't know where his career stands, but he ended up being right.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to blackball him like they did Kaepernick for taking a stand with the kneeling.
Mm-hmm.
Flores also said some discouraging things about the NFL, and that's why a lot of teams were hands off. But Mike Tomlin was like, I'm going to buck the system.
Yeah,
I'm going to give him a shot. I'm going to put him in he didn't hire him as a head coach because I think that agreement is still in place, but it's not publicized.
Yeah.
The commissioner was like, nobody give this guy a head coaching job. And I know that's the way it went down with Kaepernick too.
Mm-hmm.
He was blackballed when he still had something to lend people. But they blackballed him long enough to now it doesn't matter because he's too old to come back and show us any difference. Mike Tomlin gets the credit from me for being bold enough to kind of buck the system, even though he hired him as a defensive coach. I don't think the league wanted him hired in any capacity.
Yeah, and that goes back to, not only Tomlin, but the Rooney family. They just don't, what's that Rooney rule,
Yeah.
And
they hire who they want, not what the league tells them.
Yeah, so
that was the minority hiring.
Yeah, and I just think that when it comes to Pittsburgh, they're a different franchise, and they're gonna
run organization.
Yeah,
and the Rooney rule was put into place, but Rooney ran the Steelers right for all the years that they were under his ownership. Always had quality coaches. Always had
3 quarterbacks.
Teams. You never heard a player except Le'Veon Bell because of a contract dispute. But he would say something negative about their time in Pittsburgh.
Can you imagine that three coaches
all along
for our lifetime? Your lifetime, right?
Definitely.
Pittsburgh only had
that's it.
Three coaches. That's amazing.
No, the crazy guy.
Antonio Brown.
No, the coaches.
Coward, right? Oh, for
Pittsburgh, it was
Pittsburgh.
Chuck Noll,
Coward,
and
Tomlin. Yep, amazing. Applause.
And they all have Super Bowls.
Yeah, crazy. Be my coach, and you'll get a Super Bowl.
Don't know when, but
I see a comment from our friend to the show, Masadi. He says Herbert has records for best first couple of years. He's only been hurt the last year and a quarter. Kid played throughout cracked ribs. He's no Tua. So are you saying that that's still the right pick, even in spite of his injuries? Yes, I know he played, but I felt like his progress got slowed down, and we didn't get to see the true Herbert. But he's been hurt. He's been playing hurt, but he's been hurt more than he's been healthy. So it's kind of hard to see his full potential like we did year one when he stayed.
And not for nothing. And Herbert had a great receiving core at when he first came in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tua had that receiving a great receiving core as well. This year, Herbert, if Herbert didn't get hurt, his numbers were going to go down in my opinion, just because you don't have those top
Agreed.
guys.
And do you think that was a concentrated effort on the new coach's part to come in and say he's been taking a beating, passing way more than they were running? Because even with Austin Eckler there, he was a receiving back.
Yes.
So they weren't running the ball. So Herbert was always dropping back, being exposed to the defensive pressure. So he's like, I'm going to let go of these high-powered wide receivers. We're going to rebuild into a running game, and we'll draft similar to what Kansas City did when they got rid of Hill. They went through the draft and just drafted good.
Yeah.
So you got another 3 or 4 years on a rookie contract if you draft the right guy. The key to me is Quentin. Is it Quentin Johnson?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big, athletic, but he's inconsistent wide receiver. If he can emerge into the next level wide receiver than what we've seen, and they add whether it's another wide receiver or a great tight end, just somebody else that can take the receiver. Now I think you'd see Herbert pass a little more, but I think Harbaugh came in and was like, I see how much of a beating that he's taken, and he's playing hurt right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it a foot or a knee? It's a foot.
It was a foot. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not going to put him in those situations to get hurt this year. He's going to do mostly a running game. He drafted the best offensive lineman available, and he's going to build it the way he's always built power teams. And then he'll pass when he has to. But right now,
they have
time to recoup.
they have a 3-headed monster in the backfield right now.
Dobbins,
Gus Edwards.
And there's one more, but I know they have 3 running.
Edwards
three-
hasn't. Dobbins has been
Oh.
getting the majority of the carries because as long as he stays healthy, he was starting off great with Baltimore the last 2 years, and he got hurt. Baltimore finally gave up on it.
There you go. Hey, you know, these guys aren't bad, Mo.
no.
I give it to you. But if I'm the GM, and I know I might sound crazy, but if I'm the GM, of the Chargers, I get rid of Bosa. He's off the field more than he's on the field.
Yeah, and I was saying that this past week about Bosa that he's giving less for the team.
Yep.
In all stats, just by him not being there, he's injured.
I agree, Mo.
Probably needs to slim down a little bit, because everything's tearing off him. Something, it's a bicep. It's one of those freak injuries when it comes to him. And they have Mac. Go get another younger dude.
Khalil Mack's older than
Yeah, he is.
Bosa though, so
He is.
somebody's going to get moved first.
But my thing is, Bosa's always hurt. Bosa. If you can't be on the field to
And he's at the end. You know what? We
Oh,
all
he's
know.
gonna make that this year?
oh.
I didn't know that Bosa took a pay cut.
Oh,
Yeah, I
he
did.
should have.
That's the first I've heard of it.
He's been a felon for the past 2
But,
years, so he needs to get.
Just
He
to clear
needs to get
something
that
up,
money
Mo,
back.
when I'm reading your comments, it looks like we're bashing the Chargers. We're not bashing
No,
the Chargers.
we're definitely not bashing.
We're just
Chargers.
comparing
No.
the quarterback
I-
controversy with Miami and the Chargers deciding between Tua and that both of them unfortunately haven't been healthy. I know Harbaugh is going to turn them around, and I think he's building it first. I think he'll get it turned around, and they're definitely one of the surprise teams right now.
Yeah,
But I don't expect to see. I think it was a concentrated effort not to put Herbert in a position to throw the ball as many times as he has in the past, because that's a higher risk of injury.
Like Greg Roman's is a run guy.
Yeah, and Harbaugh too. So I think they're changing their identity.
Yeah.
Harbaugh's always been that guy that wants to win in the trenches on offense and defense. So he's not going to air it out all the time.
And the crazy part about it is Harbaugh's a former quarterback.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But when he played, they ran.
yeah, but the funny thing is, they're going to build this new identity, and when the time comes and they pop in those other pieces, they'll be selective on when they need. When Herbert needs to win a game, he can go out and win it, but he doesn't have to throw it 50 times a game to keep them competitive anymore.
Yeah.
And if their defense just stayed healthy, because they had Mac, they had Bosa, they got my guy Quentin, the safety that
The
just
safety,
got,
number 3.
yeah, he just got suspended for a time. But they got somebody on every line of defense, the linebackers, the defensive line, and the secondary that are all.
Mo wanted Tua.
Wow,
Well,
that's interesting.
yeah.
The Miami coach wanted Herbert, and the Charger fan.
Wanted Tua.
I love Herbert, and that's one of the main reasons why I
Just
root.
his physical
I root for
size
the Chargers,
difference.
yeah.
His statuesque, he's so much bigger than
Yeah.
Tua, taller,
Mhm.
stronger. I just felt he'd hold up more, and he'd be that prototypical quarterback.
I honestly, I like when he came in, I kind of started liking San Diego.
Mhm.
Los Angeles Chargers,
Yeah.
only because I like Oregon in college,
Mhm.
and that's where he came from. So I was like, let me follow him for a little bit. But
And the funny
Same
thing
here.
is
I
he
liked
had a
him.
better junior year in college.
Yeah.
But then all his skill players left, and he stayed.
yeah,
He had 2 nasty wide receivers, and Brandon
3
Cooks didn't go there, did he?
nah, he had 2 or 3.
But he had 2 good wide receivers. He had a nice
2 or
running
3
back.
2 or 3 good running backs.
Yeah, and they all bolted, and he stayed. And he was like, "Yo, what the hell?"
Yeah, don't feel bad about seeing San Diego, because I say the same thing. San Diego Chargers.
I still say
I see
Raiders. And I grew up with those
Oakland Raiders. I'm
Shane
still
Bolton.
saying Washington Redskins. I'm still saying San Diego Clippers in the NBA. So I'm still saying
whoa! San Diego
yeah,
Clippers.
San Diego Clippers.
Yeah, that's gonna be close to 50 years over there.
That's an old owner.
That's an old
I
one.
had to take Sterling out of the equation. So we were touching upon that, but what was a big story of interest to you guys last week in the NFL? Was there any game or situation that
Honestly,
really caught your attention?
and I know we're gonna see this Facebook post later about bashing, but yeah, I was not impressed with the Cowboys. Honestly, I was impressed. I was more impressed with the Giants, and they lost.
The Giants played better. The Cowboys slightly improved, but it's the Giants who they throw them around every single year. Like they have the Giants number.
If the Giants receivers would have caught the ball, like Jones actually looked good.
Decent.
He
Their
looked-
defense, the Giants' defense was pretty impressive.
yeah. And now, is that because of the defense, or is that just lack of?
I still think Dallas has things to work on offense as far as getting their line to play together. And they're going to be, they got Ferguson back.
The tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now they lost Cooks. So just when they were starting to get pieces back, and injuries is part of football.
Yeah.
Nobody gave me a break when I had no Addison and no Hawkinson. Football injuries is part of football.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear any fan on any team use that as an excuse now, because there's several teams that are going through it. It's just you can't prevent it. Dallas is suffering some injuries, but even totally healthy. Oh, they also lost DeMarcus Lawrence on defense, I think.
Yeah,
I think
he's
they
out.
put him on IR.
Yeah, it's 4 weeks.
And they already had Bland out. But
Bland's coming back. The San Fran game.
yeah.
believe.
But
And,
they haven't played the meat and potatoes part of their schedule yet, and they're not doing good. But Philly's not looking good.
No.
And then Cooks, I just want to say Cooks is going to be replaced by the other receiver they have. I forget his name. Dallas has. So Cooks,
Colbert?
yeah, Cooks has.
I think that's a down. I think
Cooks has
is-
3 routes. He has 3 routes that he's going
Anything
to run. So he's and I think he can be replaced with someone else to fill that gap. But his speed is, you can't teach speed, and I think that's going to be the downfall. But as far as catching and receptions, I think they're going to be able to replace him. Yeah, Tolbert, I think it is.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
the third guy was Tolbert, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
And Ferguson is still hurt in my eyes. I think he's still hurt.
Yeah, but at least he's back,
Yeah.
working his way back. I think they have to get healthy on the offensive line. It's the same things I said last week. And somebody has to step up and establish the running game. Zeke, I think, is past his prime. He can be used in special situations. They need 3rd and 1. They need a goal line. He's still that guy for that. But I don't think he's the guy you rely on.
They didn't even use
I
Zeke.
mean, what about
That's
your
what-
cousin, Dalvin Cook? Why don't they go get him?
I don't know, man.
Dalvin
Is
Cook.
he
Who?
still
there?
expensive?
He's in Dallas.
He's already signed. He's already
already
he's
in
on
Dallas?
he's on their practice squad.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
see
he
that?
hasn't made it
missed
to
that.
the.
I missed that.
Yeah, no, he's
No,
on their team.
yeah,
I'm just wondering why he hasn't been added to the active roster.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he came in out of shape. But
Yeah, that's
I would have
that's
to
the
think
first thing you think about is out of
he's not coming off a major injury. He got hurt 2 years ago with the shoulder,
Yep.
but he at least
they-
deserves a look.
They signed him in the beginning of the year.
All right.
Mhm.
So see, I missed that. I didn't think they signed him, but I was wondering
So-
why they didn't have him when they're kind of I don't have a problem with Zeke. I'm a Zeke fan. I love him.
Nah, he's washed though.
But he's
washed.
just too.
He's
His
washed.
speed is.
But in
he's
that
not there.
division, I think they have one of the better chances to not get too far behind, even though Washington is surprising the hell out of people.
Yeah,
Jalen Daniels is playing his behind off.
his
They
balls-
lost Austin Eckler, and they had their second string running back turn in a great game. Their defense is
But he's
playing
not.
half
He's
decent.
their second. He's Austin Eckler's the third down back.
Yeah, because
Oh,
Gibson- they got Robinson.
Robinson.
Yeah, the kid from Alabama.
Yeah,
Yep.
Gibson.
Yeah, Robinson
They got
and-
Robinson.
So I was just staying with that game just because we were talking about Dallas and the Giants in that division.
Yeah.
Philly, I'm not impressed with, and they're going through. Saquon Barkley is the most impressive thing to me in Philly.
But with Philly though, they got
But they got
number
the two
one,
wide
the number one and
receivers
number
hurt.
2 receivers out.
Yeah, and Brown.
But
Yeah, Brown's out.
Even when they were there, they weren't.
It's the quarterback.
You
That's the
you
point I was
actually
going to make is Jalen Hurts is not playing like the Jalen Hurts of 2 years ago when
Yeah.
everybody was anointing him a top 3 quarterback in the league. And I was like, this is the same guy that lost his starting job in college to Tua, and I was like, he's good and he can be adequate, but he wasn't a first round pick for a reason. Now he had a good year in that system, but like we
They
said,
changed.
people figured him out over
But
time.
they changed offensive
And they
coordinators.
and he doesn't have a great relationship with the offensive coordinator that's now there, so it's not the same system.
I was listening to a sports podcast earlier today too. Their offensive line 2 years ago, their offensive line was number 1 in the league.
Mhm.
Now they're probably not even in the top 10.
Well, they struggle. What's that? Push tush, whatever it is. They struggled. They almost got stopped the other day.
I thought that got outlawed, but I guess
Well,
not.
you have to. There's a certain way you line up. There's a certain way you can actually line up. You could still do it, but you got to alternate your lineman a certain way. And I don't want to quote it because I'm gonna end up being wrong. So, anyways, it's all right. So
But
Washington's out,
Philly,
unbelievable.
but Philly played Tampa Bay last week, and Tampa Bay threw it on them.
Yeah.
You can say all you want about wide receivers not being there, but that vaunted defense gave up 33 points.
Hmm.
So is their defense hurt? I think for the most part,
Their defense was kind of like, it hasn't really been strong. They
they
haven't.
changed up.
their
They've lost
D-line.
Hargrove, they've lost, they
Their
got the
D-line.
younger kids starting now. Jalen Carter
Yeah.
and the other young dude that came from the last 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
It's taking a little bit of an adjustment period. They're not as dominant up the middle like they were before. They lost Hassan Reddick. Remember, to me, that was huge. Hassan Reddick's that heat-seeking missile that was all over the place.
And they got that kid that's sitting out. Wait, was that Reddick?
No, that was Reddick. He was
Yeah.
sitting out and he got traded to the Jets and he's still sitting out.
No. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my point is they went down and got manhandled by the Buccaneers. But in the other game in the division, the Commanders, they didn't just win. They won 42-14.
Yeah, against a good offensive team, and it was crazy.
And I was impressed with the way they held that offense down and how easily they moved the ball against their defense. Now, we know Arizona needs help on defense, but a rookie was slicing and dicing them up, running when he had to, not taking off unnecessarily.
And I should have broke up that story about him before he got drafted, so the Patriots could have got him
But-
third.
Do you listen to his stats? Daniels was 26 for 30.
Yeah.
Only 233 yards. He only averaged 7.8 yards, per passing play, and he had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And he ran the ball 8 times for 47 yards and another touchdown. So he was responsible for 2 scores. He only threw. He's not trying to go for the home run all the time. He has home run ability,
Yeah.
but he's taking what they give him, and he's running when he has to. But he's not forcing the run like when we knew Michael Vick was in the league. He ran more than he passed. Lamar Jackson ran. But what happens to those guys? All those hits eventually lead. We're watching knucklehead Anthony Richardson now. He hasn't learned nothing. He's bigger than all them guys. This dude's always hurt now. And he was getting hurt in college.
Yeah, look, this game 3, and he reverted right back to last year, and look, he got
Yeah,
hurt.
man,
He got hurt,
I wouldn't be
twice in
calling-
that game.
I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
be calling those plays if
It
I was
was.
the offensive coordinator. Like, I'm going to limit how often he runs. I'll use him when we need him, but I'm
Now-
not letting him call his number. So
Why is he running like
How
that?
about-
He got Jonathan Taylor in the back.
How about if he just audibles out of that, or he's just doing
he
his
can
own thing?
come be an assistant coach.
Because some of them runs were supposed to be pass plays, and he just took off out of the
Well, he
pocket.
has to have the ability to read the defense and take what they give him, but I think he's choosing to run a lot quicker because I don't think he's a great evaluator of the field, like going off one read to the next read. He locks in on his first target, and if it's not there, he takes off.
Taking off.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
he needs a great tight end.
That's coaching.
Somebody
and-
who's
and
a
that's-
short, quick read. Like if you have to come off your number 1 wide receiver, if he had somebody like a Kincaid or a young wide receiver that he could grow with and build a relationship with, I think that would help him tremendously. But I have a feeling if they had like the top 5 pick, they'd take a second wide receiver or a top wide receiver before they took a tight end.
They have 2 good
Yeah, but he's
receivers right
always,
now.
always
Downs
had
just came
Pittman
back.
and
Yeah, they have
the
Downs
guy
and
that
Pittman.
left.
Who?
Somebody left for the Colts, a receiver. But he's always had Pittman, who's been there. So I don't
Pittman's a big
think that's
physical wide
as
receiver.
far as
Josh Downs
chemistry.
is
I don't
second
think it's there because he throws the ball to Pittman, and it's just plain luck. I mean, he's just anticipating he's going to be there, and he ends up catching the ball. But I understand what you're saying about a younger receiver, but I think he has enough veterans on that team to be able to make 2 reads. And like you said, he can only make 1 read, and then he's running. That's his 1 read. Steve's locked
That's what
up,
he's
and then
most
he said take
confident.
off.
That's what he's most confident. I think he wants to run. He's waiting for the opportunity to run. And he's giving up on the patterns a little bit early and then saying nothing was open. But I bet you the coaches are on the sideline saying, wait. All right, Pittman was locked up, but you had Alec Pierce on this side, or you had the tight end coming over the middle, you're not going through your progressions. I don't think he has the patience to survey the field. I think he's looking to run and make that big running play because he did such an incredible job running the ball last year, but he got hurt twice. He got hurt one time before he was out for the year,
Yeah.
and then he came back and still ran the ball recklessly.
He got hurt twice in this
He's
last
going to
game.
be a good student because Flacco came in and did
Right.
some amazing things. But he had over 225 yards, I think it was.
Who's that?
It's a backup for the Colts.
Flacco.
Yeah,
Joe
Flacco.
Flacco.
and he came
168.
160. Wow. I'd see two. It must have been the wrong game.
So
But
just
I thought
out
he
of
had
curiosity,
225 or something like that.
No.
No.
was there any other game that caught your interest as a game of the week or something you were expecting to be a little bit more?
The Texans Jaguars was a good game.
I think that was a little unexpected. The Jacksonville Jaguars played a little better than they needed to be. But remember, Texas didn't have Tank Dell or Joe Mixon, so
Yeah.
their offense was a little eliminated. That
Yeah.
game was all right, but I'm thinking about how surprised I was with the Bills-Ravens game. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a nail biter, a little bit. I thought I'd see more from Josh Allen, and Baltimore's defense hasn't been great this year, but Josh Allen didn't light them up.
Nope.
And it's not a knock on Josh Allen. I don't think he has a number one wide receiver that when things get bogged down, there's nobody that can win a route. There's nobody. He doesn't have that Stephon Diggs that he can say, when I need a catch. His best option right now is
Shakir.
your tight end.
Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No,
Kincaid
tight end?
or Shakur. But
Kincaid.
I think Shakur is a number two. I don't think he's a franchise
No,
wide
no,
receiver.
he's not.
They missed that. He was like, oh, I can spread the ball out. Nobody's complaining. But when you need a critical first down, when you need a big play, you can't dial up a play to one receiver. We know in Cincinnati, they're going to Jamar Chase. We know in Minnesota or in Detroit, they're going to Brown or they're going to we don't know who they're going to. There's no one person that you can lean on. When we seen Kansas City win all these great games in their championship, we knew the ball was going to Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, and they still got the ball because they were able to beat the coverage and get open because they had the most dominant player on their team.
Yeah.
But Baltimore just handled them.
It did.
And Baltimore needed that game.
It-
They needed that game.
Those Derrick Henry stats are good for me on my fantasy.
Derrick Henry stats killed
He
me
just
in 2
played.
leagues.
You know what? I missed that run. I missed the 87-yard run.
Hey, that was his
I
first. That was
missed
first carry.
Wow. I totally missed it. I went to the kitchen somewhere.
Hey, think about it. If he would have got one more yard, he would have got like 10 more
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, 199 was that. It's crazy. And you mentioned something about
Baltimore and Buffalo.
I wanted-
Buffalo not having a
Well,
number one.
and you talked about
Baltimore's defense. not-
Buffalo now. Buffalo needed a number one, which could lead. Maybe we could kind of get into Devontae Adams.
No, he's not going to. He don't want to go to Buffalo. That's too cold for him.
I think there's 4 teams on the radar, but you can eliminate. I think the only one you can really eliminate is Kansas City, who needs somebody with the Rice situation because they're not trading in the division. But he played in Green Bay, which wasn't exactly
Yeah.
wrong. That's similar. And if you got a chance to play with Josh Allen, I think Buffalo becomes the favorite in the AFC if he goes there again. But does he want to go there? I think his heart wants to get reunited with Brett Favre, and then after that, I think he wants.
I don't
to
think that's going to happen.
It depends on what they're
That-
not
that-
asking
no,
for
listen,
a ton.
Listen, that will never happen ever in your life
Why?
because Brett Favre retired 10 years
Oh.
ago.
Yeah. But he wants to go down there with Aaron Rodgers
Yeah,
and play with him. But
Steven. Right?
But Steven, Brett Favre.
but I think that's his first choice. And then he has the relationship with Derek Carr from the college days, and he went to the Raiders to play with Derek Carr, and they only kept Derek Carr 1 year and got rid of him. So he feels like I've been misled.
He wasn't happy with Derek Carr either though. His first year.
Yeah, he
Did he
kind
say
of
that?
complained. Yeah,
Oh.
there was some kind
They're
of.
saying
complaint.
those 2 teams are on the top of
Yeah.
this, but who
So they
did we
wasn't
just
getting-
mention?
But you
Baltimore.
forgot one. You forgot.
Well, I think Baltimore's at the top of that list too, because if they could put him at number 1, and they could move Zay Flowers to the number 2,
But listen,
and then they still got, even though he's sucking this year, Mark Andrews now they got 3 legit people that this guy can throw the ball, and he
But
doesn't have to run all.
he
the time.
doesn't throw the ball. You think that's because he has no targets?
I think he's never
Well,
had a true number one. His best receiver has been a tight end forever.
Yeah.
They just brought in Derrick Henry this year, and they've had the number one rushing in the league like 3 out of the last 4 years because he's getting 1,000 yards himself as a quarterback.
Yeah.
But then you got Dobbins getting hurt, Edwards, everybody they plug into that system. I think the rookie's name that got hurt that's coming back was Keelan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
I know his last name is Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Whoever they plug in the Baltimore offense, their scheme is conducive to having a good running attack.
It's because they got a shitty practice facility.
Yeah.
They're all getting hurt on that facility.
And I mean, you failed to mention Pittsburgh, and I think that.
Well,
Devontae
no, I
Adams
was
in
going by
Pittsburgh.
the order of who I thought
All
could
right.
use him first because he also wants to go somewhere where he can win right away. And I don't know if he trusts Justin Fields to be that quarterback. I think he wants to play with a bona fide quarterback, which I can see Rodgers. I can see Josh Allen. I can see him playing with Lamar all before going to Pittsburgh because you don't know what's going to happen with Justin Fields. Is he just playing good now? Justin Fields never led a team into the playoffs. So does he want it? They're playing good now, but does he believe that can be sustained?
I think Pittsburgh's record is their offensive
just lost.
offensive stats are the way they are is because they need another receiver. When you have Pickens on the other end,
Well, they
And then
gave
the
up
tight
on one of
end,
their receivers.
and now there's one side of the field that has nothing. So you can kind of just play. I don't want to
I
say
don't-
nothing. It's an NFL player, but I think that Pittsburgh is missing another key receiver.
they are.
they would be
Pittsburgh is
better.
missing their running game.
Yeah.
Najee Harris
He's not
is
getting it
the
done.
biggest disappointment in the league right now.
Yeah. I mean, I cut him this week. Let him go.
Yeah. I would've cut
And he was a borderline
Yeah.
number one pick, like first,
Yeah.
end of the first round, beginning of the second round. But he hasn't been getting it done. He had a decent rookie, not great. And then we
Warren-
thought he'd get better because when he came in, his offensive line sucked.
Yeah.
But now they started putting together that offensive line, and I haven't seen no improvement.
even like
he hasn't been hurt.
Even Warren, before Warren got hurt, he
Yeah.
was doing better than him.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I think at one point they made Warren the number one and made him the backup.
Yep. So you were comparing him coming to Pittsburgh. How's that any different weather-wise than going to Buffalo? But the big difference is you get to play with Josh Allen. And I don't think he's afraid to go to a cold weather climate. I just think he wants a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And I think his best chance would be going to Buffalo. But second, I think, is the Ravens. But I think his heart wants to go to the Jets.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
So
That, you know,
The
do you
Jet- the
guys
Jets
see
is
any
a
other
train wreck.
destinations? I heard
Yeah.
New England brought up, you can forget it. Same thing as
No.
Brandon Ayuk. He's not going somewhere that is in a rebuilding mode.
They
New
don't
England
even,
does have the
they don't
money.
even have a quarterback.
I heard Dallas brought up.
if
Now Dallas just lost Cooks, but could he share the spotlight with CeeDee Lamb? Because
That
CeeDee
would be
Lamb's the
nuts.
number one right now.
That would be nuts.
yeah, that would
It would.
Who's going to get the ball? He
But that's the same thing of him going to Detroit.
no, I know. I don't think
You got a number one you're asking to slide over because he's going to come in as the
he would be definitely
Number one.
He definitely would be the number one.
yeah. But
Yeah.
what does that do to the psyche of the people? You already got Amon St. Brown
Jameson Williams
doing
and
he's
Laporta.
playing like a true number one right now.
Yeah,
And he's
I-
earned it there. And now you're going to say,
I don't-
forget all that. We're going to bring in Devontae.
I don't want him. But
but it's
I don't
like
want
you
him.
said,
But if we get him, I'm not gonna be mad.
Because you mentioned earlier
you-
about him and Crosby going
Yeah,
there. And I was
it's
like,
But I said I don't know how true that is though.
yeah, but I think that if it was even considered, it would be like a slide to St. Brown.
Well,
I think it would cause some
But what if because
mix and harmony problems over there.
kind of like St. Brown was because St. Brown has a podcast. It's one of the podcasts I was listening to that I was telling you about, and he was kind of like, "Come on."
yeah,
But actually, no, it was he did it on what's the receiver from San Fran, number 19 there.
Debo Samuel.
Debo.
Debo's- yeah.
He was on Debo Samuel's podcast, and they were talking about it. He was like, "Yeah, but
Mhm.
well,
Wow,
see,
nice. But
So Charlie, what do you think he'd end up, or where would you think would be his best destination?
I think
And funny how we said all AFC teams,
I think the one team that can get him is the Saints.
but are they ready to win?
they look like they were ready to win the first 2
I mean,
weeks.
week 2 and
The first 2
1
weeks,
and 2 they
but
look.
the last 2 weeks, nah.
But I would Buffalo would be key. I mean, that's kind of Buffalo
He
and
just steps
Baltimore,
in
like
where
you said.
Diggs
I
left
think
off.
he's gonna. But I don't know. I just it's sad to see such a great player.
But the thing with
just getting wasted away in LA.
the thing
I mean,
with Buffalo,
Las Vegas.
the thing with Buffalo is, if he goes there, right, he's gonna get doubled.
He's gonna get what?
Doubled, yeah.
Because I'm not.
Stephon Diggs got doubled. But now you got Kincaid, and then you got the other emerging guy,
Coleman,
Shakur.
Shakir and Coleman are not.
Yeah, but
They're
they're
not-
2 and 3s right now. They're 1 and 2,
Yeah,
and they just lost their first game. But if you put Devontae Adams into that mix, and them guys now they don't see coverage from the top corner no more. Everything slides down. The top corner now got to go play
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, who can win against the top corners.
Mhm.
Now Shakur gets the number 2 corner, and Coleman gets the number 3 corner, and Kincaid. I mean, he's going to have more options, and we all know he can run as well. But I think that's the best option that he can make the biggest impact that gets him over the edge, because I think they gambled on letting Diggs go, but when it comes crunch time, who are you going to?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what showed this week, you know.
And because
the
he's
lack
better,
of-
because the quarterback option to me is better in Baltimore. I mean, and better in Buffalo than Baltimore. I'd go to Buffalo first,
Mhm.
and then if that wasn't, then my next choice would be Baltimore. But I think he can enhance both teams.
I also heard this one. I think it was this morning. What if he? How would he do with in the commander situation?
I heard that.
That
You're
would
asking
be
Terry
awesome.
McLaurin to move over,
Yep.
but
which he's already showed that he's a team player. He already expressed that he doesn't mind his role being a little.
And with this young
Diminished,
quarterback,
yeah,
that's looking
So-
to go, up and up.
I mean, I would do it. Do they have the capabilities of doing it?
Yep.
All right. So I mean, Washington, that would be amazing.
They're a young team too.
Yeah, that
Very
would
young.
be amazing. And then he could wow. I mean, I'm always anticipating them playing. I'm trying to see if they're on TV. If they're not on TV, I'm going to the red zone just so I can see
Yep.
what this kid's doing.
the last
you know?
2 weeks I watched the 4:00 game. I watched the Commanders game.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
care who else was on. I just wanted to see the Commanders game because I wanted to see how this kid looked.
That's what a change. You know, last year we wasn't saying this, right?
The whole
Ah.
coach has
Yeah,
changed.
yeah.
That
No.
started with getting rid of Snyder.
Last year they were they were the Commodores. Now they're the Commanders.
They've had a
Hey, that-
improvement.
You know how someone sings a song to you and it sticks in your ear, you know, you sing it all day. Well, when you said Commodores, I said that a couple of times this past week, you know.
Was there any other games that caught you guys' attention?
Well, I was kind of
Falcons and Saints played a nail biter.
Yeah, Falcons is that other team that I've
That
been
58
watching. I like.
58 yarder.
Yeah.
A 58 yarder to win it
Yeah,
with Young Ho. That's
And-
not his name,
yeah.
but-
Not for
Hey,
nothing.
I didn't realize he kicked straight up. You know,
Oh, he doesn't come in on an angle
Right.
like all the other kickers do.
man.
Kick straight on. Jamar Chase looks like he finally got back in shape. He looked like the old Jamar Chase and looked like his timing was down with Burrow again.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have to find a consistent running game too. Higgins is back. I think Chase is in shape. I think Burrow looks like the injury scare's over. Like everybody questioned his wrist, but it looked like he was able to sling it pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, with that defense, they're going to win games, you know, 30-27, you know, 27-24, you know, or lose them, you know, because that defense not holding anybody.
Mm.
Cincinnati.
They need a running game
Yeah.
too.
And I was
Well,
pretty-
Chris Brown is Chris Brown. Sorry,
No, Chad Brown.
Chad Brown. Sorry.
That's a project. That's a project in Providence, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that.
Chase Brown.
I think his name's Chase Brown.
Yeah, I know.
Chad Brown's in Providence.
I know a street in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. It's called Ed Brown in a boulevard. So yeah, but you know the Brown character, number 30, I think it is. He's doing well. His stats are picking up these last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
But that goes with what you just talked about. The offense is flowing.
Brown.
Chase
That's
Brown.
Chase.
Yeah, Chase.
But not for nothing. Derek's squad had a pretty entertaining game this week too. I enjoyed watching
Amazing. Hey,
that. I enjoyed watching both teams. The way Kenneth Walker came back.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is a beast, bro.
I had him on the bench because I was like, oh, he's not going to do well his first game back, and he gets hurt real quick. So I sat him, and I was like,
I
35
wanted-
minutes on the bench.
I wanted to put him on the bench, but I didn't have no other running backs.
I wasn't trying, like during the game, I was thinking about texting that group text. I was like, man,
I
Detroit
thought
looks
it was
awesome, and I was just gonna like, no, I can't do
Nah,
it.
you could have did that.
No.
I'd have been like, okay, thanks, Charlie.
What's up, Noah? How you doing, man? Nice hearing from you. Look at that. That's my
But
favorite.
Detroit's running game was pretty impressive too, because no matter if they give you Gibbs or Montgomery, their styles are different. I think people don't give Montgomery the credit as being as elusive as he is. He's the stronger, bigger of the two running backs, but he can make you miss.
I tell you what, it's a big difference from this year from last year.
In what way?
How much stronger he
Yeah.
is.
Oh,
He's
Like last year, don't get me wrong, he killed it last year. He had over 1,000 yards, but this year it's like
he always seemed like last year he was going to be used as the short yardage back, and that the explosive back or the receiving back was going to be Gibbs. But Montgomery won't go away. Like what he they
he's a
use him in
beast.
all aspects, and he's getting big chunks of
He's a beast.
yardage.
Did you see the hit stick that he put on Witherspoon
oh yeah,
on the pass?
it came like
Yeah,
that.
turn around, boom,
And he just went to the opposite,
Yeah, and then-
opposite side of the field.
and then got 40 yards after
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, they got 78
good
yards from Gibbs and 40 yards from Montgomery, but 3 touchdowns between them. But
Yeah.
Gibbs only had to handle the ball 14, and Montgomery only had to handle the ball 12. That's one game's total for another running back. All that wear and tear on some of these other running backs. Detroit has the luxury of splitting that up between 2 quality backs, and you can't be like, "Oh, good, Gibbs is out of the game." Oh,
Yeah.
shit, Montgomery's a problem. Oh, good, Montgomery's out of the game. Oh, damn, well, Gibbs is still there.
Hey,
Hey,
And
Goff,
Laporta
You-
introduced himself to the team this year.
This is my thing. You're impressed with the running game.
Yep.
Know what I'm impressed with? I'm impressed with 18 for 18.
yeah, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
getting ready to say that.
292.
And the way he was playing, you didn't have to run the ball. You just, I mean, he was just amazing.
What's
you
been
know,
the gray
that's
area
really-
with Goff the last 2 years?
Turnovers
When you're 18 for 18,
and no turnovers.
because obviously you didn't miss anything.
his
When he
ball.
doesn't turn the ball, the fact that he was that efficient is secondary to me. The fact that he didn't turn the ball over is
And
the primary thing.
He had the second best hands in the
yeah,
league. See, that was
yo, but the crazy part about it is it wasn't a lot of dink and dunks. His average was 16.2 a pass.
nice.
But you know, when you were talking about that play, you want to hear something funny? I lost in one of my fantasy leagues because I was playing against St. Brown.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, good. St. Brown won't score down here on the goal line. But he threw
He
the
threw it.
touchdown
He got
pass.
6
So I
points.
ended up losing by 3 points
That's-
because of that. You know, I was like, oh, Goff scored. And I had Goff.
And
Yeah.
the craziest thing is I seen them both in 2 different leagues. You know,
I was like, you got to be
Where-
kidding me.
St. Brown was here and Goff was in this league, and it was like 6-6. It was they were both competing against each other on those 2 teams.
Huh.
Goff got I think it was 6 or 8 points, and then St. Brown got the same.
But how impressed were you watching that game with Geno Smith?
Gino is something
He just threw the ball a
he
few
just
times.
throwing.
38 or 56.
He's just
Yeah.
amazing, and his stats are so good. But guess what, Lockett's not. He's that third option now. Lockett's not even getting the ball.
Enigma Smith is kind of passing Lockett.
Yeah,
as the number 2.
Lockett's
Metcalf's
getting
the
old.
big play guy.
Lockett's getting old.
Yeah.
He's getting old.
Yeah,
But
he's-
Geno Smith, who was another cast off, like we mentioned with
Mhm.
Mayfield and
Yeah.
some of the other guys, Donald. Geno Smith is in the right system on the right team, and he has a decent running game because not only did Walker have a good game, but while he was hurt, Charbonneau has gotten the confidence and shown that he can be counted on. So they're trying to replicate what we see going on in Detroit right now with the 2-headed monster. So if they get that type of running, and they don't have the line Detroit has,
No.
Seattle's line is nowhere near. They just signed 42-year-old. Who's the offensive lineman? He retired. He came back. I think he played for Seattle, but he just signed with Seattle because they lost 2 offensive linemen in that game, and they already had a crappy offensive line. Oh man, who's the?
I don't know. I'll take
He's
a 52-year-old
We
at
know
the
who he is.
Patriots line.
Jason.
I can't think of it.
Derek will Google it. Offensive lineman signed by.
Let's see.
He just got signed Monday. Jason Peters,
All right,
Oh.
and that's crazy because
41 years old.
what's that
Wow,
say
he's
about
back.
their practice squad? You know,
They need experienced guy, but now going back to what I was saying is Geno Smith can be a dual threat quarterback. He's got 2 decent running backs, and they've got some playmakers. If they can get some good play on the offensive line, their offense is going to be very hard to stop. I wouldn't want to play them. I don't know how different. If we first round of the play, I don't want to see them in the first round of the playoffs.
They proved that throughout this whole. I mean, this
Because they're capable.
quarter of the year, they
And
really
that game
proved
was in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
So they did that on the road.
Yeah.
But
DK
Geno Smith is great. He's as underrated as Mayfield is, but he's in a smaller market.
But DK is just a beast, bro.
Yeah, he's.
I don't think he'll ever
Oh,
be the reception
I
hound,
didn't
but he's a
send you the
big play
picture.
guy.
Or did I?
Him and
Him and
Megatron, he looked like his little brother.
I'm
I
like,
saw that.
oh, that dude. I mean,
He said we thought Metcalf was big
Yeah.
until he stood next to Megatron.
crazy.
But I don't know if there's any other games you guys thought. I mean, one thing I want to talk about with the Vikings game, it made me feel like I was watching the Bama Georgia game all over again. Think about the similarities.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, because
It was 28-0 at halftime. And then the other quarter, and Love was coming off an injury. So in the first half, he was turning the ball over crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's not ready. And he was hobbling around. Like, did you see him trying to plant? He couldn't plant his front foot. So he was just throwing off the back foot. So he wasn't getting everything into his throws. But in the second half, he got comfortable.
Got shut up.
Yeah, he must have, because he was pushing off that foot and he looked like Jordan Love of last year, which part of me was happy because I got Jalen Daniels. I had him and Watson, but Watson's gone now. But he made Daniels so much better. They had the running game going with Jacobs, but
They
He
went
was-
away from that running game too. Bro.
he was carving them up in the second half like there was no tomorrow. Jordan Love, 389. 32 of 54. His eerily similar to what we just said about Geno Smith. 389, 4 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Similar to the Georgia game, those interceptions mostly happened in the first half.
Yeah, he's going to be better this week. I think he's going to end up being the Jordan Love we've seen in week 1. I think he's
And you know who really stood out was Dontavian Wicks. He ended up with 5 catches for 78 yards. Reed had 7 for 139.
Wicks had 2 touchdowns too.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. Yep. But even though Watson went down, Wicks might be the emerging, because remember, they also got Romeo Doubs. So they still got 3 good wide receivers and 2 decent young tight ends that they drafted in the same round, Musgrave and Kraft.
Yep.
So
and they got Reed,
if he's
Watson.
yeah, they're off. No, Watson's hurt.
Watson's hurt.
Watson,
He is?
he got rolled over on, and they're saying it's a high ankle sprain. They won't put him on IR yet,
So that's
but he was already struggling this year. I thought he'd be the surprise breakout dude, because his rookie year, when he got used to Rodgers, he was a problem. But then he's another guy that can't stay healthy, so it's like
Yeah.
lost potential. But that game, I was just like, I wonder how you guys feel about it. But I thought I was watching the Georgia-Alabama game all over again. Green Bay came all the way back, and then we pulled a Detroit head coaching move at the end of the game. We got down to the 3-yard line. It was 4th and 1, and we were up 6. All we had to do was kick a field goal, and it's a 2-point. No, we want to go for the first down, and we get stopped. Even though the replay showed Jones had it, we get stopped. Green Bay drives 97 yards to score, and we had to come back and kick a field goal to win it.
I think Green Bay, and we talked about Seattle. I think those 2 teams are going to be scary.
But I think people expect it from
offense-
Green Bay as long as Love is healthy.
Yeah.
Seattle, I was
But
like,
I don't.
they were good last year. but-
Seattle's always that quiet, scary team, man. In my opinion.
I just don't think their defense is what it's been. So I
They got a lot of guys hurt.
they got to
right now,
keep
too.
up. Yeah.
Once they get healthy, they're gonna be dangerous. Just like before at the beginning of the season, that team that we're talking, like the Seattle we're talking about, I thought was going to be the Rams until they got that.
Yeah,
they had a lot of guys go down, both their 1 and 2s, and some guys on defense.
But all in all, I give the season a B+. I'm very happy with this NFL season.
B plus.
Yeah, I think there's.
If the Patriots were a little better, would it be higher than a B plus?
Well, I kind of gave up after.
You know
week 2,
what might lower that grade for me or bring it down to the B+. is something we can't control and something we can touch on: the injury effect this year.
Yeah.
Too many major injuries. We didn't even mention Rice in Kansas City yet. We know Kansas City got to make a move.
Yeah.
There's talk about them trying to bring Tariq Hill back. We don't know if they can work the finances in that. There's talk that they'd like to go after Adams, but they're not stupid enough to trade him in the division. The Raiders like, yeah, all right, we know you. We're gonna we're gonna step on your neck. We're not gonna allow you to come back.
Yeah.
Who else? We saw Watson get hurt. That's a minor, but there was a few other people. It just seems like, and McCaffrey now has double Achilles tendon problems. We don't know when we're going to see him. Deebo Samuel did make it back to the field last week.
Yeah.
But I think Ayuk looked better than him last week.
But they played a B team.
Yeah.
Not even a B team. They played a C team last week.
And then
They played a lousy team. Right? They played a very.
and then you got the injury
lousy,
situation in
13
Philly.
points.
Yeah,
They're
the two
without
receivers.
both
Three.
their
Both
wide
receivers.
receivers.
The kicker made the highlight of their offensive day.
Joey Sly.
And Hooper, Austin Hooper, has been from Atlanta, but it's just we talk when you mentioned the Patriots and I've been on them all season really.
Who mentioned them?
I'm just you did because I said B plus. You said if the
Yeah,
Patriots
you said
are
if the
winning,
Patriots were winning a little more, then
Hey.
it might not be a B plus.
I'm just yeah, we're gonna be burning money. Ain't burning no money. Look, we need linemen. They're not going after anybody. So
Is Belichick still there?
I wish he was.
He's sitting there.
I-
You know something?
Let me
Say
see.
what
If he,
you say. What
let
you
me
want.
check him out on my ringtone. I mean, that ring camera. Hey.
Everybody better get on the Patriots now because I think they got a plan. I think they decided to bank their money and their assets till next year. They want to tank to get the best offensive lineman or a true number one wide receiver, and hopefully they can draft better than Belichick.
They could have had a true number one wide receiver.
But
They could have.
they needed a quarter. It's harder to get a franchise quarterback than it is to get a wide receiver. There's plenty of good wide receivers coming out this year too. So I think they'll go for the left guard, the left tackle first, and I think they'll go sign somebody that wants to play there. And it might not be the big name guy. It'll be somebody who just wants a big paycheck.
Juju Smith.
No. They're going to sign somebody that
I'm just
is unhappy
upset,
with the money
They-
situation wherever they are, and they'll become the number one in New England.
there's a reason why David Andrews is hurt because he's blocking his guy and somebody else.
Yeah, he's gone for the year.
He's gone and you're burning the money. Go get a play. Go get some linemen. They're out there. So it's just
They
amazing.
had so much cap money, and the only thing they signed was like a long snapper.
Yeah.
Like they didn't sign no big name free agent.
They-
I was like, yo, you got $180 million. You didn't spend none of it.
Because they plan on punting a lot. That's
yeah,
why
they
got
punted. Yeah.
Well, I think they
Crazy.
just said they'll make a big splash next year, and their first and second round picks will be people that can stop for them next year.
Come
I
on.
think they might get a wide receiver in the second round if somebody slides, but I think they're going after if they got a top 5 pick. They said that the meat and potatoes of this draft is offensive and defensive linemen. The Patriots need offensive linemen more, so that means people won't be drafting wide receivers as high as they did. There's not a Marvin Harrison that's going to be number 4 or 5 wherever he was. So you might get a wide receiver that drops to the bottom of the first round or the beginning of the second round that could start on your team, and the Patriots will have the assets to trade up to get back into the first round if that guy's there. If somebody's there at like 26, 27, and they got the second pick in the second round, they might say, we're just doing a pick swap and we'll give you this.
Well, I get it.
But I think next year they'll be
just,
better.
I just think that
You get a
for
B plus next year.
20 years, 20 years of profiting off of the fan base,
But it's going to take time to rebuild.
he's always had that. He's always been on the plus side of getting money. That I'm talking about Robert Kraft, right? He's always had
He's
money.
not going to wait long.
And now he's
getting up
trying to
there in
save
age. He
money
wants to
again.
win again.
Oh, guess what?
I think in 3 years they'll be in the playoffs.
I'm tired of that.
This year,
that
next
drunk.
year, that next year.
I wish his son would send him home to the nursing home.
He can
Take
hang out with
over.
Jerry Jones. Have
Yeah.
both their sons. send him.
Oh boy.
Yo, Jerry Jones showed up in a helicopter on the practice field
It's
today.
all about
Are you
the big
kidding
splash
me?
that he
Like,
can make.
that's
Keep the
so-
attention on
like-
him. That's the main thing I have an issue with that organization is he gets in their way.
Yeah, he does.
I
for
think I would
years
like
done
them
that.
more if he wasn't the owner, because I get frustrated saying he's keeping them from winning because he wants everything. He wants all the credit. Like I did this. I don't need a general manager. No, Jerry, you're an oil guy. You know oil. Stop acting like you're a general manager that you know more talent than like Jimmy Jones or somebody like that. You know,
When they let Coach Johnson go,
Coach Johnson,
that's a problem, man. All right, so
anything else NFL or
no, let's kind of move on to WNBA. And you talked about the playoffs. You talked about the stats. We also have
there were some awards that went out.
Yep, and
Deservingly so. Angel Reese got MVP.
No,
I mean not Angel Reese. Asia Wilson.
Yeah.
And I had Asia Reese on the mind because it was a near unanimous vote for Rookie of the Year, and Angel Reese got 1 vote. So I was trying to remember to say that.
Yeah.
But Caitlin Clark deserved to be unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
When you lead the league in assist and you're the highest scoring rookie ever.
Yeah.
She brought a team that won hardly nothing last year. Aaliyah Boston was there, but it's hard to lead from the center spot if nobody can get you the ball. She had Caitlin Clark this year, and Caitlin Clark took all the attention onto herself. And I give her credit because as much as people say anything positive or negative about her, she elevated the quality of that team. She made Aaliyah Boston better. Her and Aaliyah Boston both were able to raise their level of play. And you know, it didn't happen right away because she struggled the first quarter to the half of the season. But then she cut her turnovers down and she started scoring more.
Mitchell, too.
Yeah.
Point guard there.
Now, the problem there is Mitchell's a free agent. So I don't know if she's going to come back or if they're going to want to pay her because she was the second leading scorer, I think, behind Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And a lot of other teams notice what she can do. So somebody might try to swoop her up. But those two awards were great, but before we move on to the playoffs, I was surprised about the firing of Witherspoon in Chicago.
Very much so.
And then the Atlanta Dream fired their coach too. Today or yesterday, it was recent. But 2 coaches have been fired, and I don't think either one should have been fired.
No, I think with Witherspoon, she bring a new spirit to that team. You know, they were playing. I think they needed a little bit more scoring on that with them. And for some reason, I think that someone's already they have someone in mind, and I like to see who that person is.
Coach, first time ever. You don't have no experience, and to go to a team like that with a bunch of young players as your dominant players, I thought she did pretty good.
They had 2 first-round picks.
Yeah. And those 2 first-round picks loved her. They loved the coach. And they're even talking about it all over the media.
That's part of what I was going to bring up. Because if you remember mid-season, they traded one of their scorers, a shooting guard, to the Mabry, to the Connecticut Sun.
Mm-hmm.
She called out how Witherspoon was favoring Reese over the rest of the players and planted that seed. She wants out because Angel Reese is running the team, not Witherspoon. This girl, she's allowing. She was putting Reese's. This is the accusations this girl made, that she was putting her individual accolades. Remember mid-season on, she was on that streak of 20 straight games, a double-double. She was making sure Angel Reese stayed in the game, even in blowouts and all that, just to make sure. So she was putting that as a priority rather than winning. And people felt she was getting preferential treatment. But somebody else on the team must be saying something similar to that, because that girl's long and gone. She can't be, she doesn't have to worry about that issue. And I thought with Cardoza and Reese as your cornerstones, you can now go. And then the Witherspoon, also the hot-headed point guard that got kicked off 2 other teams because of being a bad apple. What's her name? But she got her to buy into the team concept, and she played very well. And if she didn't get hurt for the last 5 games of the season, they would have made the playoffs. Kennedy Carter. I think her name's Kennedy Carter. But when she played for the Atlanta Dream, she was a bit of a hothead, and she got kicked off the team for fighting her own teammates. She's also had some chippy play in some of the league games. She had some of those hard fouls on Caitlin Clark and all that stuff. So, but she's still there, and you still got, the 2 bigs.
Yep.
They're gonna have a decent draft pick, man. You know, like they can add somebody decent, and that helps them get over the hump. I think you go backwards with getting rid of the coach after 1 year, because now somebody's gonna come in learn the players, have a whole new system. The players got to learn that whole system,
and
and
they
it's going
don't
to take time.
and they don't get that top pick player or whoever they decide that they're going to select until later on. So now there has to be some kind of chemistry and all that. And I just think that with Witherspoon, they should have just someone should have grabbed her and talked to her and say, "Look, this is going on." There's some
That was an
static in
easily
the
correctable
background.
thing.
Yeah,
You could have
it
kept
is.
that in house,
'Cause
and
it
after
ain't-
the season said, "Look, there's a lot of accusations. A lot of people are saying this. We need you to be a team coach, or we got to find somebody else." And
There's
if
no
she put up
reason-
some static, then you get rid of her.
Angel Reese is going to have those same stats or similar to it next year. So, as a coach, are you going to take her out? You know, don't you need those?
Well,
coaches?
I think like some of those games were blowouts or, whatever. And they want, she needed a few points. They were calling plays for her, even in close games. And she's not an offensive threat, but she needed a basket. And they're saying that she was favoring her personal accolades over the team goals and that she was the one that spoke out. And as soon as she spoke out, she got traded. And she's not a bum. She's helping Connecticut right now.
So,
But you got the Final Four going on right now.
yeah.
And what do you think was Caitlin Clark's effect on the league this year?
I to me personally
Marketing-wise,
is
money.
it's money profit wise, economically it's the best it's ever been. I mean,
Right.
they're talking about raises and all this.
Right.
So I think that was a plus. She put a bottom seller team into the playoffs, which is tremendous.
Yep.
Regardless of all the little, back and forth with, the politics of the league and so on and so forth. I think all in all, it was good. And it's good. It was good for this one reason that every stadium was at its max
Right.
when she came to
And
town.
that was definitely a credit to her. But similar to our politics, like the Trump supporters and, the presidential race, some people feel like they jump on one person, like they're the only person that deserves any credit. They want to anoint this person as being the best. They don't want to hear anybody else being good. So I understand what she did for the game of basketball, but because of that exposure, she helped grow those other markets too. So there's still more people watching. As soon as she got eliminated, all the negative pundits, all her fans came out like, nobody's going to watch the league. Like, well, we were supposed to fix the games for her to stay in it. Her team improved. They weren't good enough to advance in the playoffs. So everybody said the ratings are going to go down and everything else. You know what happened in the playoffs? The WNBA continues to reach new heights. 929,000 viewers, the most viewed ever WNBA semifinal in 23 years between the New York Liberty and the Aces in game one.
Yeah.
Highest viewed playoff game in 23 years. It might not have the same ratings as a Caitlin Clark game, but it's still
The highest.
a new goal. She helped get us to that because with the focus on her, the microscope on her, we paid attention by accident to the other people that were. Asia Wilson's been great. She's just won her third MVP in a row.
Yeah.
Brianna Stewart is great. They were playing each other in this game. They both have stacked lineups. They both have teams that you'd want to watch, 3 or 4 deep.
New York won it last year, right?
No, they lost. They got
Las
eliminated
Vegas.
by Vegas.
New York won it the year before then.
No, Vegas has won it
You
a
sure?
couple of years in a row.
I thought New York won it one of those years.
New York just got good because they drafted Sabrina Ionescu and they traded for Brianna Stewart. They were not that good, but I'm pretty sure the Aces have won it 2 years in a row, and they're trying to go for a three-peat.
Wasn't it Sue Bird's team?
Sue Burstein was Seattle
Seattle.
Storm,
Did they win?
but she retired. Well, she didn't. This was her first year. up.
No, I don't think the Liberty won.
No, I think it was the Aces.
Aces 2 years in a row, maybe
Yep.
back to back.
But regardless, the NBA was still reaching new heights even after Caitlin Clark was gone.
WNBA. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that all in all, it intensified everywhere, and as far as audience, fan base, TV ratings, everything, and
And the 4 teams that are still in it, Connecticut Suns, one of the better teams.
Yeah.
The Lynx, Nafisha Collier was the second leading scorer in the league, and she got Defensive Player of the Year.
Player of the year.
Nobody gives her credit for defense. I thought Asia Wilson was the best defensive player in the year.
And Connecticut, I seen an article. Connecticut's the Connecticut Suns attendance is at its top. It's almost setting records.
When you win, that helps
Yeah.
too.
Well, they were winning last year.
All that new influx of talent.
Yeah.
The whole rookie class was good.
Yeah.
And because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was getting a lot of exposure too, people started watching, they started tuning just to see how good they would be. And they happened to notice along the way that there is some good talent here.
Very good games. I mean, I enjoyed watching a lot of games this year from that league. And I just think that, it's, even though Caitlin is gone, like you said, the attention to watch those games. I mean, I'm pressing, the cable box and I'm trying to see what game's on, and then I see one of the WNBA games on, and I end up watching that, compared to something else.
Vegas Aces won it the last 2 years, and the year 2021 Chicago Sky.
Wow. So they were not too far removed from a title and then ended up in last place.
2020 Seattle Storm.
Yeah. But you know what I think happened with Chicago? I heard somebody say they were misrun by ownership and they pulled a Florida Marlins. They won, and then they wanted to make money because they won, and they got rid of all their high-profile talent and started all over again, which is how they sucked and ended up with 2 picks in the.
How could you fail in Chicago? That's just crazy, man.
Because
fans are just
when the
crazy.
Florida Marlins had Miguel Cabrera and all them, they were ready to win for a long time. As soon as they did it twice.
Yeah.
They did it. I don't know if Cabrera was around both times, but didn't the Florida Marlins win 2 World Series a couple of years, like maybe 4 or 5 years apart? But they burned down the team after they won the World Series and sold off all the pieces because the Red Sox got Mike Lowell.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that was before the Miguel Cabrera era or if that was around the same time. But then they won again and they sold off the pieces again because they made more money losing than winning because they were the defending World Series champs. So people were coming to see them, but then they sold off all the pots. And for the first year, they were getting the attendance numbers. And then people were like, it's not a good product on the field. I'm not going to come no more. But the owner was like, I don't care, because he raised ticket prices because he had a World Series team. And then he sold off all the commodities that were good. And you paid more money to see a lesser quality team. That should be illegal in sports.
It is.
really
I
should
talk
be
about it
illegal
every
to
year,
sell off.
especially with our Red Sox. Every year the price is going up.
Yep.
Every single year.
They didn't do it as bad as Florida did, but yeah.
But that's
But
another
for the
story.
WNBA, hey, there's games on tonight. I think game 2. Now, is this one best out of 5? Because the first ones were best out of 3.
I'm not sure.
But there's a couple of games tonight. Let me see some. WNBA. The Lynx, nope, they play tomorrow. The Lynx are playing the Sun tomorrow, and the Liberty are playing the Aces tomorrow. But those are the final. Yo, these teams, look at their records. The Lynx 30-9, the Sun 27-12, the Liberty 32-7, the Aces 26-13. 4 teams with the best records got to the Final Four. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's good.
So as much as Caitlin Clark had a great effect on basketball, she wasn't one of the top 4 teams. And for people to get sour on the fact that she's not in the playoffs, she had a great individual year. Her team did way better than expected. They're not a top 4 team yet.
No.
So people
They
should
don't-
not stop watching.
They
just
have
'cause she's not
They have
there.
a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, look forward to next year. They might have some free agent money.
And just where Indiana, their coach, she was making key mistakes in the beginning too. So she learned during the process. And then as you notice, they started winning. She started adjusting the game, letting Caitlin kind of play her game and where she was trying to restrict her in the beginning. But the Caitlin we seen later on in the season or midpoint in the season is the one we always seen through her collegiate career. So I think the coach had to make an adjustment. She did, and say, hey, I got a quality player here. And my whole team all around is becoming much, much better. So
What else we got, Charles?
we got
Let's talk about some playoffs.
Sharice.
Well,
Was it playoffs?
Oh, the wild card series.
We already
yeah,
we already got 2 teams that are in American League already eliminated.
And I'm surprised with
big
both
name
of those.
team.
The
I-
Orioles for 2 years in a row have not won a home game in the playoffs, and they got swept. And both years, I said, "Wow, this is a young team. I want to watch them. I was excited to watch them, and they haven't won one game."
My hot take is going to be the Dodgers and Detroit Tigers in the World Series.
Detroit Tigers are a hot commodity right
And
now.
you know
Hey,
something?
I didn't know
Them
the
and the
stat.
Royals
31
were
out of
screwing up
40
down the
games. they won.
stretch, and they did enough in the last week to maintain their playoff spots because they were competing with Minnesota and somebody else. Like one of them was going to drop out. Kansas City had like a huge losing streak, and they both maintained it. But then when the playoffs started, they turned the switch on
Yeah, in the
because
beginning,
the Royals swept the hell out of the Astros.
in the beginning of the season, Detroit was like second to last in the
Mhm.
American League.
All right.
Yeah.
You what do you credit the big turnaround for in Detroit? They've drafted well.
Pitches got stronger.
Well, one
hitting.
one
One
pitcher,
pitcher.
accomplished
Yeah.
something this year.
Yeah.
He won in both leagues. We had 2 pitchers that won the triple crown of pitching. Most wins, lowest ERA, and most strikeouts. Right?
Yeah.
So Tariq Skubal is a rookie. And he did it he's a second-year guy, but he's a real young guy.
Yeah.
And he did it for Detroit. Somebody did it in the National League. Do you know who? You guys are
Yeah.
pissed with
Yeah,
me.
I do.
know.
I know who.
Who?
I don't know.
That ex Boston Red Sox
There you
pitcher for
go.
Atlanta Braves.
Yep. 18 wins, led the National League.
You know who it
Chris
is,
Sale.
Charlie?
He stayed healthy one time in the last 17 years, and it was the one year we get rid of him. And we got a bag of stale
Hey.
chips and a flat soda in return for him.
Well, you know,
But-
I don't know. This proves my point with John Henry. Sucker.
but Detroit,
Him and Robert Kraft should have another drink.
they drafted well. Their positional players, their pitchers, they made all the right moves. I never thought that they were ready this soon.
I didn't think they'd be ready to
Now, Kansas City, I thought they had some nice pieces, and I really like that Witt kid.
Yeah,
He does it all.
he's a good ball player, man.
And they've gotten solid pitching. They held Baltimore. Was it 1-0 and 2-1 games?
Something
Only
like
scored
that.
3 runs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So their pitching is what got it done. And as soon as Baltimore lost with their ace on the mound, Corbin Burns, I was like, this doesn't look good. And they had the home field advantage. So you had the home field advantage. You had your ace going, and you scored 3 runs in 2 games.
Somebody got to check on John Seed. Well, actually, both of us.
Well,
We got to check.
I work with a coworker, Kelly Haggerty. And last night she posted, I'll be in mourning tomorrow. I don't need nobody coming to me and reminding me about the Orioles, doing this. And she's not a shit talker and not like
No.
that, but she's been an Orioles fan since they really, really were bad.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years she was happy. And last year we said, it's an anomaly. They're just too young. They weren't ready to win in the playoffs yet. They come all the way back, have another good year. They don't win the division this year, but man, they got so much young talent. They went out and got Corbin Burns. I said, he's going to put him over the top. They got that front line ace. He gets beat in a 1-0 game, and then they lose 2-1 in the second game. They got outpitched by the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions.
Tigers.
Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my!
Took the words right out of my mouth.
But that's the American League. So now, what happens in the next round of the American League? Because I feel like the Yankees fans get a cakewalk now. They're probably sitting home looking at.
I wouldn't say a cakewalk, bro. We seen how both of these
The
teams
two
played,
biggest threats are gone.
but we
I
we both seen how both these teams
Right.
played.
But if you're playing percentages, you don't want to have to play the Orioles, and you don't want to have to play who just got eliminated? Houston. The Astros always give the Yankees.
Houston was.
I think the Yankees probably would have handled the Orioles, but Houston's had their number. So to take that thorn out of your side right off the rip, like you don't have to worry about them, that's huge. And then the next biggest threat was going to be the Orioles. So now you're down to one of the wild card teams having to beat you. You're going to have the home field advantage. The only thing I think the Yankees don't have an advantage on is going to be the pitching. Kansas City has solid pitching, and Detroit has really, really good pitching. And now I think they got confidence. So I think that series will be closer than people think.
Yeah, that 31 games out of 40. I mean, me and Tony Williams were talking about it at work today.
Tony Williams is a
Yeah.
blast in the past, a baseball
That's it.
guy.
My favorite baseball guy.
Tony Williams.
Enjoy him. I'm gonna surprise him one day.
Play a little basketball too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna come into work with his jersey on. I can't wait. But no, good dude. I want to talk about the young lady you brought up, and that's Clarissa Shields, the female boxer.
Yeah, there was a nice little poll done by ESPN that didn't have her name on it.
Yeah.
The 3 most influential women in sports
You wanna
this last
you wanna
year.
shout out that list? You have it with you?
I know who it was. It's the Williams girl, Serena Williams,
Yep.
Caitlin Clark, and Simone Biles. Now, they said the 3 most influential women of all time. Caitlin Clark's had 1 professional year.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was. I even think that that list should have been longer, or one.
Well, because
one
they
or
only said the 3 most influential women.
she
in
should have
sports.
been on that list for
She-
years.
Do you know her stats?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay, read off her stats and then tell me how she gets left off.
2-time Olympic gold medal winner.
Yep.
2012, 2016. 3 division world champions in middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, undisputed women's middleweight champion, holding all 4 major titles, a 12-0 record, 2 knockouts, youngest boxer at 17 to win Olympic gold, first American boxer, male or female, to win back-to-back Olympic gold medals, fastest boxer, male or female, to win world titles in 3 divisions, WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO Female Fighter of the Year in 2017 and 2018, and Boxing's Writer Association of America Female Fighter of the Year 17 and 18.
Now, let me just change one thing. They said the category, the topic was who revolutionized the sport the most.
Well, based on that, I mean, youngest.
But she has to be, and I think Simone Biles definitely is on the list.
Yeah.
Was Serena Williams the first to be great in tennis? She definitely had a great career. Did
wasn't-
she revolutionize the sport of tennis?
Her career makes her fabulous, but individual achievements didn't come until later on in her career. I think that this girl has her whole career, she's been outstanding.
And the
But
big difference is when they say revolutionize the sport,
Serena,
nobody paid attention to women's boxing before Clarissa Shields got there.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
but Serena Williams was considered like one of the. She was in the top 5 of the most
right,
the best athletes
right.
ever.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the
And
but
I
the
get
comment was
that.
revolutionize the sport, like change it to another level.
I think she did that to tennis.
I think there was other great women players that had similar careers, because whose record did she not break? She tied, but she didn't break, similar to a Tiger Woods thing. She needed one more win to pass somebody for as many Grand Slams. I don't know if it was Navratilova or Chris Evert
Yeah,
or somebody else,
One of the
but
European.
she ended up tying it. So there's somebody else who's accomplished what she's accomplished, but there's nobody in women's boxing. There was never even a sport of women's boxing
No.
until Clarissa Shields came in and started dominating. Like, so when you say revolutionize, I'm like somebody that just brought that whole sport to another level.
Mhm.
Caitlin Clark has that potential, but there's other great players there now. But Simone Biles, nobody has the championship she's had in gymnastics, so nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever done what Clarissa Shields does. I love what Serena Williams did, and
So
I do
that's-
believe that
that
she
should be the top two,
revolutionized
yeah.
it to a certain degree. But other people have had the same success as her.
So that's the top 3. And like I said, the list should have been longer.
Who else would
Or
you add?
somebody
Now remember, it's revolutionized the sport. It's not who had the best career. So somebody
revitalize in any sport. Let's see, as far as females.
yeah, who brought it to untold heights? We don't have professional baseball or softball. We only got basketball. We don't have football. A lot of the sports are amateur. Swimming,
Yeah.
gymnastics. We only got women's pro basketball for a professional sport, right? We got women's pro soccer. I think Mia Hamm was the best soccer player
Yeah.
we ever had, but I don't know if she revolutionized the sport.
No.
So tennis and golf are individual sports. Is there anybody in tennis? We got Serena Williams. but I don't think there's a women's golf player that revolutionized the sport. There's just not that many professional women's
No.
sports.
And so then it
What
would
about
even
Danica Patrick.
If
with
you want
car
to say-
racing, yeah,
But she raced in the men's division and held her own.
Because
Yeah.
there is no women.
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
she had to cross the
I
gender
definitely
line.
like that. I truly like that because she went through a lot. You know, she
Yeah.
went through so much, and
Yeah,
for her to
nobody's gonna accept
maintain
her.
and her career is lengthy. She had a decent career. I don't think she's racing anymore, but
No.
and all this proves is what you're just saying is not there's a limited amount of women's sports. So this is more reason why Clarissa should come up
Yes.
right away. I mean, when you're talking about, I mean, ESPN, I don't know what they were doing, why they overlooked her.
And she's the one that called him out.
Yeah.
She was like, if you trip,
Yeah.
like, you guys lost, spell and
Yeah.
bumped your head. Let me just
And
throw
it-
my stats up there.
And I love that. I love that.
And it was true. Like it's not talking shit if you can back it up.
And she can.
I've never lost.
Yeah.
I've won 5 different divisions. I've gone up. She started boxing at like 140 and she's gone all the way up to 175 to win championships. She's fought everybody that's a big name. She's not afraid to fight in any division.
Yeah.
Imagine Pacquiao's the only guy I think that comes close to that as far as that many weight classes.
Yeah. I mean, her toughest fight was her last fight. Was it the last one or one before that last?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember, but before she ended up getting that title, the last title, I just love, I love her. I think she's very, she's a good ambassador for the sport of boxing altogether, you know, male and female.
Well, you know why she'll never get her credit? We say she's an ambassador to the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
But the boxing enthusiasts are saying she's too cocky. She doesn't seem gracious enough. She grew up in the hood. She always had the odds against her. She's had to fight for everything she has. Nobody wanted to open up any opportunity. She had to kick down the doors to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
And then when she accomplishes it, nobody wants to give her credit. She's too brash. She's not feminine
Yeah.
enough. She's not a marketable person. If there was a boxer that had her accolades, we'd be seeing them all over TV.
Yeah.
What commercial have we seen Clarissa Shields in?
None.
When have we seen her on TV? I've seen her on a couple of live broadcasts for boxing, but she's not getting no media exposure. She's not getting none of the endorsements that she should have a deal with Nike. She should have a deal with, commercials. If that was a male boxer,
Yeah.
with half her credentials, they'd be all over the place.
I mean, look how many, it's that commercial, WNBA commercial, got all the girls in there with that skin underwear or whatever it is. They get commercials right off the bat. You know, there's so many
When you're a
different,
hot commodity.
and you got a boxer that's in, you know, her abs is as hot as this table and she gets nothing.
Because the industry is determined she's not marketable.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of young girls, especially a lot of young girls of color, that if they saw commercials with her advertising sneakers or weight equipment, shorts, or clothing,
Yeah.
they would buy her line of clothes and they would have a new idol to look up to. I bet you a lot of our young girls don't even know who she is because boxing's not a sport that we push a lot of girls into. She's still revolutionizing that sport.
Mhm.
She's changing the mindset the way Caitlin Clark is raising the WNBA to new standards,
Yeah.
But she's not going to get that exposure in boxing because name another great female boxer.
Layla Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not current.
No, I know.
No.
And the similarity and the problem with both of that, they were both minority boxers. And I think they want the great white hope,
Mhm.
which is what they got with Caitlin Clark in basketball. Now, I'm not taking away from her talent, but there's been plenty of great basketball players that are getting the hype train that Caitlin Clark is, because ever since Larry Bird retired, it's like everybody wants that next great white hope to,
Yeah.
get behind. I don't care who it is as long as you can play, but
So true.
in my personal opinion, it seems that way. And that's why I think a lot of the WNBA viewership went up, because I think they captured a lot of the white audience that were on the Caitlin Clark bandwagon that weren't watching it because the WNBA is predominantly black.
Mhm.
But now they have somebody they can identify with, and she happens to be a great player.
But not for nothing. Like, like before all this, they the white players in WNBA were actually kind of dominating the
Yeah.
WNBA with
Rihanna Stewart,
and what's her face from
Diana Taurasi.
Diana Taurasi.
Yeah,
She was
very
MVP
Sue
for
Bird.
Yeah,
But
Very
they
much
didn't have
so.
the appeal. I think because Diana Taurasi's 42 now. So when
Wow.
the WNBA started, it was down in the dumps as far as ratings. They weren't barely on TV. They'd be on some channel we never heard of before. They nobody was really touching them.
Yeah.
So by the time we missed all their glory years when they could have been marketable or whatever, but Caitlin Clark with social media and the coverage they got in college, she got the coverage in college that blew her up, and she rode that wave, and to her credit, she stepped up to the table playing against WNBA talent, and she did her thing. But it's very easy to market a successful white player as opposed to a successful black player because you're going to get more of the audience buy into that.
Mm-hmm. So
we'll
true.
see in a couple of years with Juju.
Yeah.
Juju, I mean, I love that girl.
There's gonna be 2 girls on USC that's gonna.
Oh, you just they just signed the number 1 pick that's in high school, the number 3 overall player.
Yeah.
She's from Oregon, but they got the number 1 player from last year, and they got a transfer. Juju got help this year, and she got the next year. She got that other girl. People are going to start seeing the trend of, as long as Juju's there, they're going to build a powerhouse. Maybe even after she leaves, she'll leave enough behind where she got so much other talent that they become a winning program.
Yeah.
But, you just reminded me. I wonder, they should have the tickets out for the UConn games. I want to go see Juju against Paige Beckers.
I would like to.
And
I would like
love
to see
Paige
that.
Beckers. She's one of my favorite college players, but I happen to like Juju a little more. But Paige Beckers has been my favorite player. She just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah.
She has to stay healthy.
Juju's that girl that
But I want to go see that game live so bad.
that would hold her
I've never
own
been
in a
excited to go
guys
see a
game.
girls game.
I like Juju's that girl that she has enough handle to score some points in a men's game. I just like her. I like her game. She dribbles with both hands.
Isn't she like
Shot and
6'1",
pop.
6'2"?
Yeah,
She's got a little bit more size than your typical guard.
Yeah,
She plays like a guy.
She can handle, but she can also drive. And then you drive to the basket, and you already got that height. And she's an athletic girl, so it's like unfair to be that physically strong, that height, the athletic ability, the talent and smarts for the game.
And she can shoot.
And she's only going into her sophomore year.
Nice. Yeah, she's just on the wrong team. USC is
USC's gonna be good, bro.
well. Their fan base is wishy-washy sometimes.
Well, when Cheryl Miller was there and the McGee twins were there, they showed that they'll support it as long as it's a winning. But California, fair weather fans.
Yeah.
When you're doing
They do the
things
same.
behind you, USC was the same way in college football.
And that's the thing. That's the privilege that the LA area has.
Too cool.
That as if UCLA wins, they're over there. USC wins, they're over there. If California's winning, all of a sudden you see them venture into their games or whatever. It's just that state is saturated with so many sports teams.
Cal football hasn't been good since Jared Goff.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's what they do. They
I
just
tried to
flip
throw
flop.
And Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch was before him. Yeah.
I had to throw that out there.
He played a good game, and I didn't want to jinx your team. I was getting ready to text you. I said, Detroit looks good. Oh, it's a great game, but awesome. We got 3 minutes, Steve. I need you to talk about the comedy show, man.
Well, comedy show 1 week from tomorrow, same location, Wheeler Motor Inn and Suites. All female lineup to represent for the Cancer Awareness Pink October. Got our girl Mika Jean hosting, headliner GL Douglas, and co-headliner Stephanie K. These girls are going to bring the funny, but more important than that, it's the cause. We started doing this last year. We're hoping to build on it this year. We all have people that are dealing with cancer, whether directly or indirectly. We all know somebody that's gone through it, or
Amen.
And some are still fighting the battle. Some of them have lost the battle. I don't want it to feel like it's all for naught. I want to be able to like uplift these people and let them know that we're in their corner. We recognize the fight they're going through. So if we can do anything in our power to make their fight a little easier, it's nothing easy about it. But if we can take their mind off their battles and their pain and suffering for 3 hours in a night, I'm all for it.
Yes.
So we got our regular crowd, hopefully buying tickets. But what I want people to do, whether you're an individual or a business, is find it in your heart to buy a ticket that will be matched by WMB1. For every ticket that somebody buys, you buy one ticket for $25. WMB1 Radio will match it with another ticket so that we can give a pair, because nobody goes to shows by themselves.
Yeah, true.
So if there's a recipient out there, we've already named about 6 or 8 of them. We're able to give them a pair. So not only they can go, but they can bring somebody that they feel comfortable, a spouse, a friend, brother, sister. And for that night, we're going to honor them and just be like, we understand your fight. We support you. This is a small gesture that we can show to, to let you know that, we're thinking about you and we're hoping for the best possible outcomes. And hopefully one day, these people will rid themselves of that battle or will find a cure. But until then, this is something WMB1 can do as a gesture to, let our cancer survivors and the people we lost know that we love and support them. And, we'd like to see them out next Friday night. So go online at WMB1.com or get in touch with anybody at the station. We're more than happy to, deliver the tickets to you, bring them to you. And if you know anybody that's battling cancer and that we're not aware of, inbox us, let one of us know, and we'll do the best we can to, get one of those donated pairs of tickets out to them. So thanks for your expected support, and we hope to see everybody there next Friday.
Awesome. Great job. Great job, as always. All right. Well, go Vikings, go Lions, go Cowboys.
We come back from overseas 5-0, then I'll stop pumping my chest out. But I'm just waiting for that slipper to drop. It's hard to get too overexcited, and I don't want to jinx my squad.
You got the Jets, right?
Yeah.
But they just came off a bad win, a bad loss, and they might be motivated. And then we got that travel over there.
They didn't even score a touchdown.
No, not even close.
Bad weather, though, wasn't it? Kind of crappy weather. And
Yeah,
it was
but
home in New York, but they played Denver.
So it's bad weather, and
Sorry,
and they have
Denver scored a touchdown.
their offensive
50 yards passing and one.
Yeah. I mean, was it Hall and that line was hyped up as that solid line,
I know.
defensive and offensive, and it's bad weather. Guess what? They should have been able to run the ball, and they couldn't.
I wonder how many
So-
carries he had, because it didn't seem like it was an ugly game. It was hard to watch.
The other guy had more rushing yards. The rookie did.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, he's good. Bryce
Oh.
Allen, or whatever his name.
Allen. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well,
Get home and watch a game tonight. Atlanta
Yeah.
and Tampa Bay are on tonight.
that's it.
See how
Go,
that goes.
go, Dirty Birds. Let's go. All right. I got nothing to celebrate when it comes to my Patriot team. So other than the kicker slay,
Charlie's
tremendous kick.
watching as a true NFL fan. No
I am.
agencies.
Yeah, no. Fantasy football fan.
Watching
all
every
year.
game but the patient.
No, actually, I am going through it, man. I'm watching every game they play, just so when I'm on point, when I'm critiquing them, I'm on point, But all right, fellas, thank you. Thanks for the invite,
Thank you.
and let's try this again. All right,
Peace.
and I'm gonna put this episode on Spotify. I'm gonna download it, and
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
yeah, thank you.